Throughout the 80s, a new global awareness has gradually emerged. The globe is warming and weather patterns are changing dramatically. The CSIRO expects a global increase of between 1.5 and 4.5 degrees Celsius in the next 40 years. Only 5 degrees ago, we were in the Ice Age. The temperature has increased by half a degree since 1950. We're experiencing the start of the greenhouse effect.
But the Sunshine State has been even harder hit by flooding. As many as 25 families have been evacuated from their homes in towns west of Brisbane as swollen rivers continue to rise. Motorists too have been battling to get through near impassable roads. Roads swamped by 125 millimetres or 5 inches of rain overnight. And while Queensland still battles the big wet, the Northern Territory is slowly recovering after their severe floods that left at least one person dead.
The 80s have been the Southern Hemisphere's hottest decade since the turn of the century. 7 of the 8 warmest years have happened this decade. Australian seasons are no longer clearly defined by sunny summers and cool to wet winters. The lines are blurred. Rising temperatures are bringing dramatic changes to Australia and our way of life. Northern Australia is getting more rainfall. Southern Australia is getting less. And everywhere our rain is becoming more intense. Snowfields are expected to recede. Tropical cyclones will move further south. And oceans will begin to rise.
Air, it's all around us. We take it for granted until we run out of it. And if you've ever fought for breath, you'll know that absence of air is one of the most distressing conditions you can experience. We suffocate the Earth's air supply. You know that like mist on a marble, the atmosphere surrounds Earth, controlling temperature and dictating life on this planet. Yet we abuse it as if it's everlasting and can withstand all the poisons we pour into it. Many of us don't even know we're doing it.
When Sonia Australis forgot the oven was on, she was heating up much more than an appliance. She was helping the entire planet become warmer.
How does leaving an electric oven on warm the Earth? A. Excess oven heat adds to air temperature. B. All electricity use adds to greenhouse gases. C. Residual food and fat form hot molecules.
The right answer was B. Ovens use a lot of energy. We've long believed that electricity is clean energy and in limitless supply. At least half the greenhouse warming is caused by carbon dioxide. 2/3 of that comes from burning fossil fuels. Electricity is responsible for about 1/3 of all fossil fuels burned each year. When you add up the many ways we use electricity in home and industry, it's a significant part of the greenhouse effect. Appliances like televisions, radios and heaters were left on when no one was using them. All throughout the house, lights were burning as if the entire family had a pathological fear of the dark. The more electricity we use without thought, the more greenhouse gases we're sending into the air, and the more we're directly responsible for increasing the temperature of Earth. Between 1970 and the mid-1980s, electricity production in the industrialised world increased by half. Leave your car locked up in the sun on a hot day, and it's like an oven when you return. Roughly the same thing is happening to the Earth. The sun radiates heat to us as light. Carbon dioxide and gases such as CFCs and methane are transparent and allow heat through. They act like the windows of the car or the panes of a greenhouse. The heat bounces off Earth but is trapped before it can head back into space as infrared radiation. Carbon dioxide comes from cars, factories, the electricity supply, and from burning living organisms such as trees. Methane comes from the gut of sheep and cattle and from rotting garbage. The destruction of vast areas of world jungle is a double-edged sword. Carbon dioxide is released much faster than it can be absorbed by the natural process of plants and oceans. But when trees are set to the torch or left to rot, they release even more carbon dioxide. If use of electricity in the home and industry continues to climb at its present rate, it will contribute heavily to the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Predictions are that our already burdened atmosphere could have double the present amounts of carbon dioxide within the next 50 years.
What should be done about electricity use? A. Very little. Coal is vital to the Australian economy. B. Nothing. Australia adds little to greenhouse gases. C. Everything. We should all conserve electricity. D. Nuclear power should be used.
The answer is C. Down to Earth is about the environment. Awareness of the damage done by fossil fuels has given new vigour to the nuclear lobby. But nuclear waste remains the most toxic known to humanity. That factor alone gives it no place in any campaign to clean up the planet. Australia earns immense export dollars from coal, a source of carbon dioxide, the major greenhouse gas. We use nearly 6 tonnes of coal a year to operate a kitchen filled with appliances. If Australia is going to lead the way, we must flick the switch more often.
Use pans that cover the hot plate and make sure the lid is tight-fitting. Double steamers are good because heat from one pan keeps the other cooking. Pressure cookers are efficient. They use less energy. Once the water has boiled, go to the lowest possible setting. It's all you need to keep it boiling, and turn off the hot plate a few minutes before the food is cooked. Why waste the heat that lingers? Keep the fridge defrosted, the door shut, and check the seal. Don't put warm food in it. That simply means more energy used and more coal burnt. Don't refrigerate anything that doesn't need it. It's simply a waste. When you go on holiday, empty the fridge and turn it off. It all seems so obvious, doesn't it? But we've guzzled electricity for decades. Now, the Earth needs a few million misers.